はい。
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Yuzuru Hanyu is My Emergency Contact, the FanyuFanme podcast. Well, it's been a minute since my last podcast. Who am I kidding? It's been months. In the amount of time it has taken me to produce one podcast episode, Yuzu has produced and nearly finished touring an entirely new ice story. Fine, Yuzu. We get it. You're productive. And we're so grateful that you are. The truth is, I've actually been busy building a fort out of all my Yuzu calendars and making a spreadsheet of every single hotel in Tokyo Bay. Speaking of productive Yuzu, it's hard to believe there was ever a time when Yuzu wasn't on social media with us. A time when the "I look at you too" comment sent Fanyus into a panic. A time when share practice was a made-up term that no one, except Yuzu, could have anticipated would become legendary. And a time when Yuzu wouldn't send us a random message saying he was going to call us in 15 minutes. Daijoubu desu ka? Yes, Yuzu! All the yeses! Before we get started on this long overdue podcast, seriously, I'm really sorry it's been so long. There is one thing I need to get out of the way. In this episode, I am not going to talk about productive Yuzu's Echoes of Life. Nande? Let's just say we'll go through that door when we get to it. Instead, in this episode, I'm going to talk about something that the Fanyus strive to do every day. Reach Yuzu. Whether it's by stocking up on the last remaining Sekkisei Miyabi products, entering countless ticket lotteries, really? Countless. Or practicing curious ways to hold a slice of pizza, we're all doing it for that same reason. A new way to reach Yuzu. Because ever since September of 2022, Yuzu has been reaching us in new ways too.
せーの、はい。
Yuzu wakes up to Yuzu news too. Bed, hair, and all. Every Fanyu knows what it's like to wake up in the morning and open social media to see what Yuzu news they missed while they were asleep. Because the fan universe never stops. And as we all know by now, neither does Yuzu. But what must it feel like to actually be #Hanyu Yuzuru Godimoji? Many mornings I have opened Twitter and thought, wow, something happened, as I see multiple Yuzu hashtags trending. But it must be really crazy to get on Twitter and think, wow, something happened. And I think it's me. There have been few days as big on social media as that fateful day Yuzu finally opened the SNS door and stepped inside with us. I love that we were able to prepare these spaces before Yuzu arrived. He gave us time to furnish them with all his favorite things, and to get the Pooh-san throw pillows and our gyoza recipes just right. I hope he is comfortable here, and that he has as much fun as we do when creating content about himself. Though I must admit, I can't be the only Yuzu content creator who couldn't help but giggle with satisfaction when Yuzu admitted how long it took him to edit his first YouTube Christmas gift for the Fanyus. While it came from a complete and total place of love, I might have uttered the words, "See, it's hard, isn't it, Yuzu?" Then again, we aren't pulling from the immense amount of content Yuzu has at his perfect fingertips. For his work on the prologue videos, I just imagine him saying to Staff-san, "I need my entire life delivered to me on a flash drive, arigato." But let's roll the clock back to when Yuzu first got on Twitter. Well, when Yuzu first got on Twitter and stayed on Twitter. I loved the Fanyus who acted as if that meant Yuzu suddenly discovered the existence of Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, as if he never knew they existed before 1:11 a.m., my time zone, on September 30th, 2022. And suddenly everyone needed to behave because Yuzu might see their posts. It's like shouting, "We have to clean the house!" before guests arrive, and then finding the guests have actually been living upstairs for the last 4 years. They just never came down to breakfast. Because Yuzu has already been living in our house for years. So I hate to break it to you, but you've already been seen. And he was actually stealthier then because we didn't know who he was. I would like to think we've always behaved as if Yuzu was seeing everything we posted, but I guess some people need to see the policeman sitting at the intersection in order to not run the stoplight. And let's be real, some people get more thrills from running it because they saw the policeman. And to that I say, ignore those rogue citizens, Yuzu. Then, things started to get complicated, and for a while, it seemed that Yuzu's next thesis needed to be about YouTube monetization and memberships. The number of analyses alone from Fanyus could have filled an entire department at a university. And in this section of the library, we house the Hanyu SNS journals. Everyone wanted to make sure we were maximizing Yuzu's social media presence at a rapid pace, which, for the world record, is the only pace Fanyus operate. My favorite Yuzu YouTube channel watching advice was this: act the most like a human as possible. I am pretty sure that sums up what we Fanyus have been pushing for in fan decency and fairness for years. Because as much as we have tried to create a beautiful, safe, supportive space for Yuzu and his fans, things can get ugly. Especially if certain other figure skaters wander over into the wrong hashtag lane. I'll let you decide who I mean. 1 minute, everyone is gushing over Yuzu's latest 6-second video clip, which we used to get once every few months and now get nigh near daily. And then the next minute I'm thinking, whoa, what happened? As Twitter becomes a mud fight. At one point, I thought Yuzu was going to have to call AERA and have them release another photo to act as the water hose to calm everyone down. Well, maybe calm isn't the best word to describe what the Yuzu AERA photos did to the Fanyus. In the midst of one particularly volatile day on Twitter, Yuzu even tried dropping a photo with scandalously exposed ankles. And if Yuzu's bare ankles can't bring about world peace, what hope do we have? How does it feel to get on social media at any time of day or night to find someone crying hysterically over the mere fact that you exist? Or that you have bare ankles? Or to see people are drawing you, posting pictures of you, or even writing a blog or recording a podcast about you? And what must it be like to be defended by people you've never met, as if they are a mother bear and you are their cub? Or, in Yuzu's case, their baby kitty. It's also hard to imagine that Yuzu now has to think of things like, gee, I need to get a good photo of the prologue set to put on my Instagram. Though sometimes I'm not entirely sure Yuzu remembers he has an Instagram. And I'm quite certain he would never begin a thought with G. I can't help imagining Yuzu on his computer checking all his site analytics like I do. But I have to say I feel bad for Yuzu that he will never experience the feeling of opening Twitter or Instagram or YouTube and feeling that disappointed emptiness of seeing that he has no notifications. It's a SNS rite of passage. But he quad-looped right over that sucker into a land where every post is the holy grail. And it's not just on SNS. It's in the real world, too. I mean, Yuzu has newspapers doing stories about magazines. Since when does that happen? Breaking news! Someone took a picture of Yuzu and it's going to be in a magazine. In fact, the newspapers are even competing with each other. We put Yuzu photo printing machines in the Konbini. Well, we're going to hang a Yuzu tapestry on the side of the building. Well, we're going to rename our paper the Asahi Hanyu. Back when share practice happened, which we're ready for another one of those, Yuzu, whenever you have some spare time. And I started seeing the photos of all the newspaper coverage, and I found myself wondering, Has anything else happened in Japan since share practice? But also, keep up the good work, Nihon no Shinbun! Even the Fanyus are competing with each other, albeit in the most polite, civilized, loving way possible. We want a ticket to gift, and if we can't directly buy a ticket to gift, we want to enter a lottery to buy a ticket to gift. And if there's no other way to enter a lottery to buy a ticket to gift, we want to go buy as much skincare as we possibly can in order to enter a lottery to buy a ticket to gift. And if it turns out we can't enter a lottery to buy a ticket to gift, we at least want the chance to have the opportunity to get rejected by Yuzu, though we all know that isn't really what is happening. I can just see the Mainichi Yuzu newspaper headlines. Enter to win a chance to enter a contest where the grand prize is a chance to enter a contest where you might win the chance to enter to win a ticket to see Yuzu. Restrictions apply. And right beside that will be another article about Yuzu being on the cover of a magazine with bare ankles. In short, Yuzu stopped competing for everyone, and now everyone is competing for him. So sleep well, Yuzu. Seriously, sleep, Yuzu. Because that's the way it should be.
完成です。
Yuzu claims he doesn't have a favorite program. Or I guess I should say child. And while I don't have one specific favorite post I've written, I will admit that this next one is particularly close to my heart. By the way, I don't call my posts children. It's cute when Yuzu does it. When I do it, it's just weird. While my fingers were typing what I remember, the special replay post, I was also writing this one in my head because I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And once I gave myself permission to give it my full attention, it came to life in one sitting. I guess I just really wanted to say what I had to say.
せーの、はい。
Keep climbing, Yuzu. Why the crawl? I have written about a 20-second silence, a 6-second stare, a single scream. But this is the first time I have written an entire post about a nearly imperceivable in the dark Yuzu moment that was over in less than 4 seconds. But we simply are not talking enough about the way Yuzu crawled up the Gate of Living substage stairs on all fours. It happened on day 2 of Saga's replay. Each performance prior had been a regal climb of superiority by the rule of the world. And yes, sometimes climbing stairs is simply climbing stairs. But on day 2 of Saga, something happened. Was he worried he might fall? Did he think it was more creative? Was he suddenly bored with climbing stairs? Safety, art, or mood, no matter the reason, it was brilliant. And it's time we talk about it more. I once said that there was no villain in Yuzu's story. Clearly, I was wrong. There are several villains. It wouldn't be a story without villains. But it isn't about them. It's about if they win. Or, more importantly, if you let them win. And Yuzu is not letting them win. He's shown us in his words. He's shown us in his actions. He's shown us in his Instagram posts. And in Saga, he showed us in his animalistic crawling up substage stairs. I can just picture rehearsal Yuzu standing in his warm-up pants and replay t-shirt before it had Miyagi added to the back, with his chin in his hand, staring at the stairs and thinking, how the heck am I going to get up these giant stairs charismatically? He climbs them once, and then Staff-san hands him an iPad to view the replay. I had to. He spends several minutes watching it with his finger to his temple, thinking, and then rapidly points in enough different directions that it sends every Little League player in Japan to still second base. Suddenly, we have bigger-than-life Yuzu scaled down and looking like he's trying to climb into a chair at the adults' table at Thanksgiving. Animal Yuzu scaling a rock and leaping to the top. Hunter Yuzu stalking his prey. And oh, he caught us! All while wearing an intricate costume worthy of this dark and relentless pursuit. This stairography wouldn't work with just any of his costumes, particularly Haku, as he could have gotten tangled in the fabric strips and ended up rolling down the stairs like a ball of yarn. There's some baby kitty imagery for you. And while on some levels it's humorous. Someone made the set too big for Yuzu. Ultimately, it represents the mountain with which Yuzu has been faced. He could have put his hands to his head, exclaimed, "Fuji-sama!" and run the other direction, but not our Yuzu. In fact, let's talk about what Yuzu has overcome, and not just scenic elements, life elements. Unfair treatment, health conditions, personality misrepresentation, recurring injuries, baseless comparisons, unwarranted blame, merciless rumors, attacks on his integrity, threats to his safety, and lies, lies, and more lies. Any one of those things, one of those giant steps, could drive away the bravest of hearts. Yuzu doesn't even get the luxury of climbing these stairs in private. He is climbing them with the whole world watching, and that world includes the people who desperately want to see him stub his toe and tumble down to the bottom. They think if they make the step just another inch taller, and another inch taller, and another inch taller, he will eventually give up. But Yuzu looked at those steps and declared, "By God, I'm going to climb up this mountain if I have to do it on my hands and knees." He didn't just climb them, he conquered them. But we know all this isn't without wounds and scars. We know it hasn't always been a regal climb, Yuzu. You've let us see you, flat on the ice like a crushed butterfly, against the wall like a trapped mouse. We've seen you on your knees gasping for air. We've seen you, head hung with your wings folded inward from exhaustion. We still see those battle wounds and scars, and we know they never completely go away. They may fade, but even once the bruise is gone, the tenderness remains. And not just from jumps and competitions. It's not just judges judging you anymore. It's a world of villains determined to push you down those stairs. But there is a sea of us to lift you up. We reach out our hands for you to grab. We offer our shoulders to boost you, legs to stand beside you, and feet to kick away what chases you. Because we don't care what it looks like getting up those stairs. We only care that you are satisfied with how you got there. So that is why the stair crawl meant so much to me. In 4 seconds, it showed us the determined Yuzu who stood at the base of something seemingly insurmountable, yet without hesitation, chose not to be afraid, not to be intimidated, not to be defeated, but to climb. Keep climbing, Yuzu, no matter how tall those stairs get.
完成です。
Very shortly after I wrote that blog post, I saw an interview with Yuzu in Quadruple Axle magazine where he said, "The image is that because you want to do more or become stronger, you build a wall and overcome it. For example, let's say there's a really big staircase, and I'm a little ant. After all, stairs are stairs, not walls. However, if I want to move on to the next stage, I have to treat the stairs as a wall and climb up in order to evolve." And all I could think was, I guess Yuzu felt it too. And now we have arrived at the part of the podcast where I allow myself 30 seconds each to speed comment on some of the latest, and in this case, maybe not so latest because it's taken so long to do this podcast, Yuzu events. Or as I like to call it, all the thoughts I say out loud to myself as I scroll through Twitter. Well, maybe not all of them.
早い。
AERA mattress. When I said I prefer Yuzu in layers, I meant in white sweaters and red aprons and gloves. I didn't mean under an air mattress or wearing a steak doggy chew toy necklace. I'm sorry, I can't unsee it. But whether he looks like an acrobatic Charlie Chaplin or a scene straight out of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, I can still say with complete confidence you nailed it, Yuzu, because the only thing necessary for a good photo of Yuzu is Yuzu. Let's try to remember that for the future, shall we, AERA? Yuzu's Tunnel English. During the September Menship Radio, Yuzu decided to gift us by speaking English, despite it being what is obviously one of his least favorite things to do. Ever! But then, as luck would have it, his mic went out. Gomenasai, Yuzu, but it felt a little bit like when you're on the phone with someone and you want to end the conversation. I'm going through a tunnel. I can't hear you. You're breaking up. Reincarnated Yuzu. In Yuzu's conversation with the chief priest of Jigenji Temple in Sendai, Shionuma Sensei, he said that maybe he will be reincarnated as an ant. Well, all I gotta say is if Yuzu gets reincarnated as an ant, I guess I have no choice but to be reincarnated as Aunt You, Aunt Me. Oh, and he'll probably still have great hair. Echoes of Logo. When Yuzu released the website for his third eye story, Echoes of Life, the Fanyus rejoiced and reserved hotel rooms. How long can I make the re-jokes now that Echoes of Life has premiered? Despite receiving, okay, I'll stop, very few details and virtually no imagery, we could still tell it was going to be brilliant, just from the logo alone. I mean, really, we hadn't been that excited by exacting white lines on a black background since the last time we saw Yuzu in his UA. AERA Time Capsule. AERA magazine was like, we've got a great idea. Let's recreate the Blue Roses photo shoot from 2018 to show how much Yuzu has changed in the last 6 years. Shimata! Which one's which? I just hope they put the date in the file name. Meeting of the Seimeis. Yuzu announced that the special guest star for Notice Delata 2025 will be Nomura Mansai, genius of Kyogen theater, portrayer of Abe no Seimei in the Onmyoji film, and famous for single-handedly causing Yuzu's brain to explode.
すごいな。すごいところに来てるな、俺。
I just want to take a moment to be adequately impressed by the awesomeness of this announcement. Wow! I mean, wow! Okay, now I'm done. The ultimate Fanyu souvenir. Now that Yuzu is a brand ambassador for Aqua and HAYAKU, I have no chance of pronouncing that right. I can't help but imagine what customs will look like as countless Fanyus try to take home refrigerators in their carry-on bags. And I thought getting home a stuffed Guriri and a souvenir newspaper from Gift was tricky. I can hear the customs agent now. Do you have anything to declare? An entire kitchen appliance suite that Hanyu Yuzuru suggested I buy. Kalanzuru. In 2025, the Fanyu year is going to have 425 days, if you're counting the number of days by the number of Yuzu calendar photos, that is. How many calendars does one Fanyu need? I'll let you know on Friday.
早い。
And now we're all trying to reach Yuzu again, be it in Chiba for Echoes or Sendai for Notice Delata. This would be the part of the podcast where I announce in some clever way that I'm going to Japan to see Echoes of Life, because obviously I've been hinting toward it through the whole podcast. So, I'm going to Japan to see Echoes of Life! Yatta! I'll see you soon, Yuzu! Okay, so maybe it wasn't clever, but it was enthusiastic! While we put in vacation requests, make packing spreadsheets, and refresh our memories, look at that, I had one more, on how to write our names in hiragana, you can follow FanyuFanme on X, Facebook, Instagram, Redbubble, where all FanyuFanme artist profits are donated to Tohoku Disaster Relief. But the store will be closing very soon because people keep stealing my art, and thus money from Tohoku Disaster Relief, so I'm shutting it down! YouTube and FanyuFanme.com. Until next time, when we will talk about Echoes of Life, including the program I have put in my top 5 Yuzu programs of all Yuzu time.
本当に?
What could it be? What could it be? Say it with me. Yuzuru Hanyu. You. The FanyuFanme podcast is a Back to the Forest production.
Back to the forest? Just kidding.